But Judy gave me a book for my birthday, and it's called Dare to Dream and Work to Win by Tom Barrett. Highly, highly recommend it. I mean, I read it on the plane. I never looked up, never talked to my neighbor, did not sell CBD because I was reading it. That's really not true, I did on the plane. But just some great stuff, and it's old, and I didn't ever even look at, when it was written or anything, but there's a couple times he talks about changing out the VCR, and a couple of them, like, when was this written? And I still haven't looked, because it still really came together, but in that, I told Christopher, I said, I've got this thing in my head, and I just want to share it, because the reason that you have a pie there, and I saw several of you looking at the different flavors, and so when I go through this is just mine and Christopher's vision on the pieces that kind of have to come together to make this work, right? If we just gave away product or shared product or sold our 7-day challenge bottles, there would be pieces missing. If we just went to opportunity meetings and we didn't share product, there'd be pieces missing. So I told him, I said, I just picture this pie. And so your pie may be a little bit different than the way of my pie. When I first did the pie, you can see now it's 6 equal sizes, sections, everything's equal. But when I did my pie at first, and I was doing my first pie in the spreadsheet, and it asked me for the percentage, it was really interesting how it first came out of like something was 5%, 50% to me was learning the opportunity presentation, because I feel like it's so important not to be able to stand up in front of a bunch of people to do it, but just to be able to do it anywhere, anytime, whether it's on an airplane or having coffee with one person or in front of a group if you go 200 miles per hour in this. And that's the other thing is I don't want anybody to feel, leave here feeling like, oh my gosh, it's so much work. Because the other thing we've discovered is that you can hit this hard and go, like I said, 200 miles per hour with it, or you can make it a journey and take your time. You very often end up in the same place. There's a great chart in this book, and it was amazing to me. He said, I told Chris, I said, listen to this, and tell me if this math is right. And he said, yes, it is. So if you sign up one person, and in their first month, in the next month, you sign up one person, and they sign up one person, and then the next month, that person signs up one. If everybody signs up one person a month, and they only sign up one person, in 12 months, you have that 4,096 people on your team that we see so often in the chart. Is that not crazy? So I'm like, wait, I want to start over. I want to start over. In the beginning, like Christopher said, we would do groups like this, and we'd have this many people, our friends here, and we'd be like, Vicki was one of those in the beginning, where we would just have friends to the house. We either Stephen or Danielle or Brian would do the presentation. So, main thing I want you to understand is this is a very delicious pie that we're getting to experience right now, right? And Christopher and I are having so much fun with it. And again, I am not saying that you have to spend, I'm not even talking time. You won't hear time come out of my mouth. But I do feel like each one of these is important on the journey, because we're all here to be successful, right? So in the beginning, when you were first starting this, what were you excited about? So planning your success in the beginning, when you were approached maybe about Zilis. Ours was that land that we were able to purchase and that we're getting to build the salon on. So does anybody feel comfortable sharing what was the thing that was exciting to you about starting this journey? Yes, sir.
Reduce financial stress.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yes.
I have looked at a lot of the research from Israel and have gotten into it. It took me some prodding to get Barbara to even try stuff, and I kept thinking to myself, the stores are opening up, but I don't want a storefront.
Right.
How do I get involved?
Great.
And
Like the
Richard
Uber
Bush,
guy.
kind of like said, oh, it's something you might want to learn.
Absolutely.
And
Good. So an easy way to own your own business in an industry that's exploding, right?
Right.
Financial security and
Yeah.
retirement.
Yes.
And-
So Beverly and Sheila, who else in here? Yeah, Steve. So the hairstylists that are in here, we do not make a penny if we're not doing a haircut. And people think, you know, I have 60 people that work at the salon and they're like, oh, man. Well, those people pay that building and that land and all of that. But I truly, you know, there have been many, many times, as many of you that are self-employed, where you reach points where you're just keeping the place open. And there were times, 2 years before I met Christopher, he still hears the story and hears other people talk about where I literally did not have an income. I was a single mom. I had a huge mass exodus at the salon, and my heart was broken, and my pocketbook was broken. And so for us, it was the land, but it was just not living in fear. Fear is a horrible place to live, right? And so just getting past that and getting to a secure place to where you can relax and enjoy. And I know some of you in the room, it's retirement, it's being out of debt, it's a savings, it's travel. You know, our wish list now has gotten much bigger. When I bought this construction paper, I bought a board to do our dream board, and I asked Christopher what would be on the board, and so he gave me a list, and I've got that far. I've got the board, and I've printed off all his pictures. So we're gonna do that together, because I wanna dive in and just do it. I'm like, no, we need to do this together. So, planning your success. So in the beginning, what brought you to Zilis, and trying to remember your why. And that's different for everybody. Sometimes it's on my mirror in there, sometimes it's just self-talk in the morning, sometimes it's a video. We've got a couple people that we like to listen to. But determining what you want and being clear about what you want, whether that's writing it down, keeping it in your phone. I do think it needs to be somewhere in the front of your mind and not to forget, because this does take focus and energy. And if you lose sight of that goal, it's really easy to just kind of put this aside. And I think many of us discovered in July that if you set this aside, it's hard to pick it back up, right? And so, and that's probably true with everything, but we're talking Zilis. So,
You might wanna add something on
Yes,
that, be clear about what you want, because you're talking about your vision at the beginning, and that can really change, cause at the beginning, all I wanted to do is tell everybody so they could help their health and
Right.
have an experience like I was having.
sure.
But then once they start having that, and you're getting paid, you're like, dang, I wanna help more people feel better and get paid to do it, you know, it's kinda nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as many of you know, Judy is my client and was hurting one day, and I shared the topical with her, and I can tell now story after story after story of those, you know, medical breakthroughs, in my opinion, where you're just like, how is that happening? How is that working? It's just a spectacular product. So,
Can I ask you a
yes,
question?
absolutely.
When you're sharing that in the salon, are
Yes.
you dipping out of a big,
It depends. I usually always have open topical in my purse.
okay,
No, I always have an open topical in my purse for my back and hips. And so my
the
clients,
2 ounce or the mini?
the mini
Okay.
in my purse. And so my clients, we're all bloaties. I usually just say, here, go put this on. I'll tell you my latest story is I have a client who, the minute she walked in the door, I could tell something was off. The minute she sat down, I knew she was like grinding. I mean, she was a wreck, but holding it together. And so I said, what would it take? She said, brand new principal, just got her first school. And I'm like, what would it take? What would it take for you to put this under your tongue? Because in my mind, I swore we had talked about it. And I've told you about these stories with me. I swore that we've talked about it, and you know, she had told me she was uncomfortable trying it with this new principal thing, but maybe I made that up. But anyway, she was like, yes, put it under her tongue. Was there for a color, so she was there about an hour and a half, and she felt it before she left. And that's those I love having. My desk, if you walked in there at work, you know, it's got ice, it's got edge, it does not have dream. It's got, you know, everything's in it. And I was at, where did I start? Chicago. I was in Chicago, and he got them off of Amazon, and they're actually kinda long, plastic clear droppers throwaway. And I think he said 500 for, it was crazy, I don't even remember. And then he did have the sticks. So if I was out publicly somewhere, absolutely, I would be sanitary. So we found that with no plan, there's no action, with no dream, there's no path, so that's where we're kinda talking about here. And then being consistent, I'm gonna read you on this part, because be willing to give consistent time to the business for it to grow. Success comes from doing many little boring and sometimes irrelevant things one at a time. One more call, one more coffee, one more presentation, another training call. None of these are much standing alone, but collectively they create character, momentum, and lead to success. So you can build this Zilis business full-time. We've met those people, but my new wording is I'm building this in the nook and crannies of my life. Today, standing here, I'm not interested in not doing hair today. And so I have to work this. If y'all text me, the color might be cooking. If you leave me a message, I might be returning that call in the car. But you can just do this, what is comfortable for you. 20 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour, but consistent, doing something every day. And that's why I kind of put the notes together for you. Judy had a fantastic list. I took her list and then added to it. I just felt like there wasn't, if someone said, Kim, you're gonna open a new salon, I've never been a salon owner, I would need some direction and some pieces, and this is what you need to do a little bit of every day. You've gotta make some phone calls, you've gotta, reach out to your downline, you've gotta get some three-ways. So anyway, that's, I think just for you, whatever that looks like, and being consistent about it. Any questions on planning and being consistent? So the second one to me, this is me, put these in, change these up in any order, but it's sharing the product and following up. So we would not be standing here today if Dr. Monty had not called me and said, where are you at? I want you to get this stuff in your body. And he dropped it off on a Sunday, and by Tuesday, I was calling him and saying, what is this? And I wanna know more about it. And truly knew absolutely nothing. We had been to the doctor that week for they were looking at something else to do, and she had a tiny little poster on her wall about CBD, and we're both reading it, not having a clue.
I took a picture of it.
Yeah.
It was 8.5 by 11.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, and it
That's
still
a little
is. I went and saw her this week. And,
Which was the first time I'd ever heard of CBD.
yes, and we had her explain to us the difference between CBD and marijuana. 'Cause we didn't. He's going to jail. So, I took these little, verbiage things, if you have your papers in front of you. This came from Robbie Page. For those of you who haven't heard her, if it pops up on your computer or in Brian's Facebook page or wherever that she's having a training, you wanna be on her training. She's done this is her life, and she's I think you'll understand when I say this, I do not mean this negatively, she's a bulldog. And she coaches on the side, and you can see that in her when she's talking. But this is in her, the first thing I did after I typed it up for y'all is I put it in my phone. So how great, just like today, had somebody that said, hey, I saw your post about going to the mailbox, I want a 7-day challenge, and I went in here and I copied and pasted this. It was great. Can you Venmo me $35 too, and that's my Venmo. Would you like lemon, raw, or berry? Send me your mailing address. Can I get your email address as well? Promise me that you'll message me as soon as you get yours, and get ready because the results are different for everyone, and I can't wait to hear yours. Sound like a plan? It's perfect, and you can change this up, of course, but at least that gives you a little bit of something to kind of go by.
And it's so personal.
Yes.
The way it's,
Yes. And then, here's somebody that calls and says, I don't understand anything about this product, what can you tell me? sure, I'd love to help you understand. Here's my website. Feel free to look around and read up on all you wanna know. I highly recommend Ultracell and Blank, because she's had a conversation and they're either not sleeping or they're hurting and they need ice. So she puts the booster information in there as well. And then she likes to get them talking and asking questions, so she says write down 3 questions. The important thing on that, I believe, and it's on the next page, but it's the follow-up. Don't forget to follow up. So I'm still a paper girl, and so on today when I sent that, I'll click over, I'll give it a couple of days of mailing, a couple of days of them on it, so I'm gonna write down about Friday or so of next week to be sure and follow up, because if I don't write it down, it doesn't happen, I'll forget, that I sent that. And you can lose a sale or a potential ambassador from just not following up. So there's her follow-up recommendation, and this, if you haven't been, I learned this, when was she, last week, 2 weeks ago? On a Thursday night, I learned this. Do you know how many bottles? Yeah. Do you know how many bottles I have sold and not done this right here? I wanna go back, I wanna start over.
What page are you on? Just like-
I'm on,
What does it look like to start?
it said, the start of it is the perfect Zilis Pie.
Top line says Zilis Business System 7-day challenge.
That's good, that's good.
Christopher, will you go make?
Yeah, 'cause I
I think we're out of it. Will you make?
She didn't have it.
Yeah, my-
I'm gonna make this one.
Yeah. Okay.
You do have it?
He's gonna make some.
Does anybody have it?
Kim, I don't know when you're at, I'm sorry.
You ought to know what I know. So the follow-up, so this was so important. You have she says, you have 2 choices to choose what's best for you, because they've decided they wanna buy, right? They're saying they only wanna buy at this point. You can be a full retail client and get a full-size bottle of Ultracell for at my shop, $150. Or you can become a bronze ambassador instead for $199. With that, you're gonna get 2 things. $189 worth of CBD oil, because remember with your bronze, you get a big and a little. 1 full size and 1 travel size for your purse, or leave it at the office. And then every single bottle after that is $99. And you get our topical and boosters, Burn, Dream, Ice, and Edge at wholesale, I would say, from then on. What looks best for you? Never, ever did that. My retail is great, but if I'm just retailing, if I'm just focusing on retailing and I'm not trying to get them signed up as bronze, I'm missing the chance of them upgrading to silver or gold, right? And they're coming in and I'm making a little bit more money on the product, but what if they fall in love with the product and come to a meeting and get fired up and start signing up people, and it just, anyway, I feel like I had missed a huge piece right there, so I was really excited to have
So
that.
you wanna start again?
I do, I wanna go back to all those people. And it's so funny, one day, a client came in and she wasn't gonna be able to buy product. And I said, why don't you come in at bronze and you can get your product at wholesale? And this is like 2 months ago, say. And when I walked into my office, my son was sitting there and I said, I think I might have just messed up. And he said, why? And I told him, he goes, yeah, but you got a bronze. Now since then, I've done that with a couple of people when I felt like I was gonna miss them being on the product, but I wasn't thinking for the team, I was just thinking I didn't want them to get off the product. One of them was out of work and, stories. And so anyway, love that.
But the thing is, I like her idea, yeah, it's, Robbie's I'm talking about, to come in, get them in on bronze, but I wouldn't limit that, because there's been 2 people that only wanted product of mine, and when we're going through how to get the ID, and we're looking at the 3, they could see those minis and they would say, well, wait, I need some of those minis to
Absolutely,
give
yes.
to so-and-so, and
Yes.
one came in silver, the other came in gold.
Yes.
So
I think,
when they weren't
I think this
expecting.
is when they've said to you, only and I know there's always that chance and that hope, of course. And you never wanna short yourself on giving that presentation. Maybe after they come in bronze, you follow up again, you know, a few weeks later and say, are you interested in hearing more about this business now that you love this product, you know? But I just thought that that was a very interesting piece that I felt like every single one of you may already be doing it, but I wasn't doing it. So I'm accustomed to selling shampoo, you know, to every client. And so I try to sell CBD to every client, so I wasn't doing that piece, so I am now. Then when Christopher brings you your pages, she speaks a little bit about boosters. It's just really basically just having conversation, figuring out what they need, and then making sure, because we sell as much boosters at the salon as CBD, so don't short yourself. You know, at the dental office, huge for Dream. You know, at my, I've made an appointment with my pain management doctor, because I haven't been to the doctor, any doctor, since October 28th. So I made an appointment with her, because I'm like, all these people are signing up their doctors, I haven't been to the doctor, so I'm just gonna make an appointment. So I made an appointment, and I'm like, I missed you, but have you heard what I've been doing? And her front desk girl comes to the salon. So she said, matter of fact, I have. I said, do you remember? We didn't even know what CBD was. And I said, thanks for having that up there, because we had, you know, chiropractor dropped it off, and we did our research, and now we're national ambassadors with Zilis. And I said, you know what your CBD's missing? And she said, what? And I said, a topical. I can't get through the day without my topical. You know, I talked to her about Dream. I said, so many of your people that are in chronic pain aren't sleeping. So anyway, we're talking. She, you know what she said to me? I said, do not ever repeat that again. Please don't say that to another patient. She goes, be careful having that in your car. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, we're close to Tarrant County. I said, do you know how old that news is? I said, don't say that again. I said, that's not even true. Don't do that.
Was your pain management company said that?
You're missing sales. All right. Any questions about
Can I
this?
say one thing about the bronze
Yes.
and how it has benefited me is that, some of my clients, you know, they just cut me off at, you know, I don't wanna hear about the business.
Yes.
But I do talk them into getting, signing up as a bronze, so they can get their products wholesale. And, you know, I have one client in particular that she's sending her sister up there, now she's sending her mother up there, so when they come up there to buy product from me, and they're not my clients,
Yeah.
then I have an opportunity
Yes.
to talk to them about not only the product, but the business, so those bronze people
Yes.
can.
I don't wear my
turn-
bronze is stupid t-shirt anymore.
I totally see what Judy's talking about with the gold.
Absolutely.
As well, I mean, that's where we can.
It's a balance in what you're comfortable with, and just not shorting yourself, but then not scaring them off either. But for those of you who don't know, I used to walk around saying bronze is stupid a lot. So my upline got me a t-shirt that says bronze is stupid. And I was wearing it one night when Christopher and I were listening to a Zoom, and Danielle was doing it, and Danielle told Brian to tell me that I shouldn't be wearing that shirt. I'm leadership, and bronze is not stupid. That a lot of people come in. Well, I at that time truly thought bronze was stupid, but I no longer do, because I have had several people who came in bronze and then upgrade and blow this up, right? So it's not stupid, it's just dumb. Okay, number 3 to me, absolutely.
She's bronze, no, sorry.
I
Just teasing.
didn't call anybody dumb. Did I?
Now, one night on one of the calls with Brian, he started something that's really helped me a lot, besides telling them, you know, bronze, this and that. If I know that they just want the product
Yes.
and use it, he said, tell them that, you want them to get in on a wholesale discount. And you
Oh,
want
that's
them to
great.
get it at the best price that they can get it at.
That's great, because you want them
don't
in.
just say it in the-
Because remember, have y'all heard the math, and Christopher did this for me, the math of that if you, I can't remember how it gets to this point, but you've got 400 people under you, and they're all on auto ship, it's $17,000 a month. Just that piece, yeah, that's what I said. And did you know that y'all, maybe if y'all have heard Christopher and I Zooming lately, we've been talking about this, that's the fastest growing piece of our income right now, is that slide where it shows you 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. It was good. Okay, number 3. Training calls and connecting to your upline. We're very, very lucky. There's, not everybody has, Stephen, Danielle, and Brian right here close by. Danielle's still in town a lot. And so use that upline, but get on your training calls. So I just talked about Robbie's call last Thursday. Fantastic. I've gotten to listen to Danielle a couple of times lately. She's fantastic as far as just steps like this. Brian, on Thursday nights, for those of you who want to understand the comp plan, do not dial my phone number. I am, today, Judy and I, we would be so grounded. We would be so grounded because we both were like looking in the book to find this question. I do understand it more and more as you start getting paid on those infinities and things like that. You're like, oh, that's what they're talking about. But it's a lot. It's a book. So, on that, have y'all seen this yet? Yeah. So this is what the package is coming in with now. It's new for those of us who've been in it a while. But in here is one separate little book on the compensation plan.
Is that retroactive to any gold members?
You're right, can we get those now?
Yes. So anyway, comp plan is big, and so if you want to understand it and you want to not have to say, I don't know, then you can learn it, and there are people that have studied it and know it and can answer all those questions, but I am not your girl, and I'll always tell you when I don't know. And I think Christopher's connecting, we listened to Brian while we cooked dinner the other night. Christopher's starting to connect more and more to that comp plan, but I just want to talk to people about product. So training calls and connecting to your upline. By training calls, I do mean those calls, but we have recorded, and any of this stuff, if I say something, just text me later and I'll send it to you. But, we've found a recorded opportunity presentation being done by Jenny, Black Diamond Jenny. It's really good. If you want to listen to somebody different, if you've been listening to Stephen's recorded version or someone's recorded version and you just want to hear somebody different, I really got a lot of good information out of hers. And I think I found it on YouTube, but I have the link. But if you've got a person that for whatever reason you feel like you're just gonna need a little bit of extra help or boost, Brian loves to do 3-way calls. It's probably his favorite thing, right? So, if you don't have his number, we can give it out. I'll on the phone and give it out. And then, but I like this, and I think it came from Judy's book, but it's he who walks with wise men become wise. So stay close to those people who know more than me. I'm going to keep listening to that comp plan, and maybe one day y'all ask me a question and I'll know the answer. But staying associated with others creates focus and energy and excitement. And this is so true. New reps need the contagious, positive people and the people that are being successful, and it's so contagious, and you want to be there. You want to rank up and get your Jeep. When Linda, this is her first meeting tonight. She's been with us a whole week, and not quite a week. But first thing she said when she came in is, "There's a lot of Jeeps out there." So, so I think we have 11 of those in our downline. And if there's someone that you're around at work or home or in your upline even, or maybe in your downline, sometimes we have to be cautious of how much time. That doesn't mean don't give them any time. If they have a question, answer their question, but you can keep those conversations short and sweet, because sometimes they got stuff going on, and you can support them and pray for them, but maybe they're not your person to give you the positive feedback that you need at the time. And I call it the booster shot. If you're sick, you go to the doctor, you get a booster shot. If you need a booster shot, there is no one that can fire me up more than Brian. I can call Brian and say, a few of you know this story, on April 1st, right? I just knew we were going to be presidential, and I woke up that morning and we weren't, and I called him and I said, I'm going to be that girl. I need 5 minutes of your time. I'm so disappointed. We worked so hard. Well, he let me pout for a second, but then he said, and I think about this when I put this together, he said, what did you not do? I didn't sign up one person. I was helping, I thought, oh, I don't have to anymore, because when you reach a certain rank, you no longer have to sign up people, so I didn't. I was focusing on coming and speaking with y'all and doing Zooms and being in your living rooms and all that, and I never signed up a person. You can't do that, you can't stop, you can't quit duplicating what works. So he helped me, he let me pout for a second, but then he pointed out, he made me say it, of discovery of what I didn't do, and fired me up, and then I was ready to go again. So, we have, I think I mentioned it, we have several books and videos that we love to listen to. And who's your girl that you love to listen to right now? Mia.
You should have.
She's good. Okay, so, boy, this is so true. Dadgum, this one. I put it on purple because y'all see when I put it, you'll laugh at me. Who knows how great I am at this? Phone calls and invites. So, Linda and I have a lot of mutual friends, and her first few days, maybe even before she actually signed the papers, because she was taking a little trip, she started naming, have you talked to so-and-so? Have you talked to so-and-so? Have you talked to so-and-so? I was like, nope, nope, nope. I said, I haven't even gotten in my phone yet, because, you know, my phone scares me. I will walk up to a stranger, I will walk up to somebody in the airport, I'll talk to somebody on the airplane, I'll talk to my clients all day, but there is something about my friends, I'm talking in my friends, in my phone where I don't want to bother them. And so the best thing I've ever done is just did this simple little challenge, and I have to make 2 calls a day. And I pulled that phone up, and so Thursday night, Christopher and I are doing our first event here, probably since December, of inviting our own friends. And if there's no one here, it's gonna be because I didn't pick up my phone. So to get, all it is it just needs to become a habit. It's a place that I've put my brain, and I had to get out of it. So my way to get out of it is phone calls. I'll be on social media all day, I'll do the videos, I'll do all that stuff. I'm putting the word out there, but that one little piece of it, this piece of it, for me, if I had to name one, this is the one that every single day, to be successful and to be consistent and to make my plan, I have to write this down. Every single morning on my calendar, it says, make 2 calls today. And so I talked about this when I was in Beaumont, and I got a phone call last night from Jerry Spring in Beaumont, and she said, I started at the A's, very top one, it's my preacher, and we are going for coffee tomorrow. He wants to know more about the product. Because she was like me, she was like, I'll talk to anybody, except people in my phone.
Does
So,
anybody have that sheet? that you
everybody
talked
have that?
about?
No, ma'am?
I just wanna make sure.
There's
if you
2 pages,
Don't have it.
there's 2 pages of work.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not, so I created y'all's stuff, and then I created an order for me, so you may have it, it's just not in order. And then you may
Does
not
it
have
come
it.
after
But I
product
think it's-
placement?
The thing she just
I have to look at both.
It should say number 4, 5, and 6 items on it.
Yeah, see, this was our note, so I know they don't have that, but they should have everything put in a different order.
That's all we got.
Okay. Good morning.
No.
Good, gosh, who put this together?
Well,
Just this.
you can send it out.
Okay, so there's a, yeah, that's just our notes, there's nothing on it that they can't have.
This other page over, right?
When I get done, I'll just make everybody,
Sets in here, what's that? They're all stair style,
yeah, I thought it was in there, but what
they're all the
they're,
same page.
Yeah.
Yes.
the printers did that.
They should have put it together as a set, stapled it, if you went to the printer.
Okay, yes,
So when you're calling your friend, what do you normally say to them kind of get started?
it's on here. See,
Do
I
we
don't
have the
that.
page it's on?
I don't even have it. Goodness gracious. out to you. I was recently introduced to CBD oil. Have you tried it? Mostly no. Well, it has changed my health, and I wanted to share all about it with you. Can you jump on a Zoom call tonight where I will be sharing? It's only 35 minutes, and there's a financial opportunity that I will share as well.
Is that what you personally say?
That is what I took from Robbie's, but that's pretty close to what I've been saying. It depends on who I'm calling. If it's a business person who I feel like is really gonna be, you know, and most people now know that I'm involved with CBD. So I'll say, I know you've seen my post about CBD and as a product, but there is just an amazing business opportunity that goes with this. Please just give me 35 minutes of your time and let me speak with you about that. Linda, what did you say to Rick?
I have a business opportunity, I wanted
Yeah.
to sit down with him.
Yeah. So it just depends on who the person is, and you know how Brian always talks about there's two things here, the product and the business. And quite often, you start off with the product and it becomes a business thing, and that's pretty common, right? So, and then she had a great one, and I'm just gonna give this Christopher to make copies, but how many people have felt like they bugged somebody? Like you just keep on, keep on, you keep inviting them, cause you know they'd be so good. My girlfriend Tam that lives in, Azle, I'm telling y'all, she passed us all up. I know it, but she doesn't know it. So, she says after you have bugged them to the point where you feel like, okay, I probably shouldn't bug you anymore, she texts them and says, one thing I promise is to never bother you. That is not what I'm here to do, but I do promise to be here for you. So I'm gonna leave our conversation in this text until I hear back from you. You have my number, feel free to reach out to me anytime, take care. I like that. So if you've got, somebody was just talking to me about this, might have been Judy, but we were talking about, do you have this list of people that either are on your team already and they're not doing anything and you feel like you're bugging them, or you have potentials that you feel like you're bugging. And I think you could play around with this, and I'm almost done. We're gonna make copies. So, any questions about phone calls and invites?
It's so frustrating when all you get is an answering machine. You
Gosh.
know? And it's the people that have said they're interested and they give you the number, I wanna know more, but then do they really?
Yes.
Judy, I think sometimes that, you know, people are busy and that they are interested, but it's like, okay, that's Judy, I don't have time right now.
Yeah.
And they might just be putting you off because of their time frame.
Yeah.
And I just think too, we had this conversation at our last board meeting for Cloud9 Charities. I was like, y'all are crickets. I send something out, whether I call y'all, text you, or email you, I get nothing back. I don't know if you got the sponsor list for Brewfest or not, because I'm telling you, when I tell you nobody from this board responds to me, and there's 21 people right now on the board, no, nothing. I said, so somebody pick something, we could go into an app but I don't care if you put a check mark. I just need to know that you got it, and that worked. Now we've got this communication going. I think part of it is in the salon, we have a private page, a text page, and I have their emails. And I send, when I need them to really know something, I send it to all three. I'm so shocked how many people don't read their email in that, most of the age generation, where I am like, that's where so much of my business is done. And so then I did the app. Well, so many of them, I don't want to hear it dinging, you know, kind of turn it off. And anyway, so I think a lot of it is today's world. No matter what business you're in, we kind of stink in the communication department. So I love that you pick up the phone. I love that that's how you would prefer to have somebody. When I first started this right here, I got excited when I heard their voicemail. I was like, oh, I gotta leave a message. That's so stupid. Goodness. It's like, well, I got this now. Hey. Do you remember me? Because, you know, Brian taught, yes.
I'm kind of like you as far as just talking about the product at this point. So my question, kind of what she was asking, how do you get around that, kind of being a little personal, like, hey, what's wrong with you?
I love just starting it off every single time. I started off with, if I don't know what's wrong, like with my client, I can
Right.
tell what was wrong. But with that, I just say, have you heard about CBD? Have you heard what it's doing for people's health? And so many people still, which is what's so exciting about this industry, is they're like, no, I've kind of heard, I heard it was illegal or whatever. So well, actually it's not. But do you suffer from, and I usually name, my top three are pain, lack of sleep, and anxiety.
Alright, Ashton, tell me 3 things about your health that you would like to see improve.
That's fantastic.
Say that again.
Write that down. Yeah.
And you might share your story, it may,
Yes.
it may make them open up
She
with
says, tell
what
me
they're.
3 things about your health that you would like to see
Yeah.
improve. Yes. Somebody have a question? No, y'all just enjoying yourself.
Hey, we're enjoying this meeting so much.
You're learning so much. Okay, so,
One,
yes.
I'm trying to write pain, lack of sleep, or what is your third?
Anxiety. Who in here has given an opportunity meeting of any kind, whether it's one-on-one, Zoom, in front of a bunch of people, right? So, it's not for everybody. I think everybody needs to be able to do it one-on-one, everybody. And I think that the very first step to take, if you haven't done that, is get on a three-way call with Brian. The next person that you meet that you think would be interested and that you want to get to that next step, the first, I think, getting past picking up the phone, first thing with an opportunity, that's crazy. Yeah, I won't call somebody, but I'll stand up in front of hundreds of people. This is weird. Anyway, but, you don't analyze me. But, I think that listening to him, just saying, he'll say things like that, tell me about your health, or tell me, are you interested in something about the product or the opportunity, whatever, and you just listen to people do it. Then we listen to Stephen
Very important.
we listened to
it over
Stephen
and over.
every morning, over and over and over again for months, because we knew it was coming. Brian kept threatening, he's gonna put us up there, and then,
But you're always picking up something every time you hear it.
and every person that you listen to, the very first time we listened to, Tyler, the swimmer, he's got some great stuff.
Kim, last night, you were so good. In fact, I told somebody today that, you know, the information,
felt good
I
last
want
night.
I want that recording because the way you
I recorded
explained how the product worked, you know, in depth, it was so good.
Well, see, before that call, that was for our group launching in, Houston.
The Woodlands.
Woodlands, and she gathered that call for us, and she said, and I love this, before she texted me and she said, I have veterinarians and pet supply stores that are gonna be on there, hit heavy on the product and hit heavy on the retail. So if you can always give me a heads up when we're gonna be doing a Zoom, that helps as well. Cause as you know, I could talk about boosters all night long, love the product, I can talk about the product. I can talk about the comp plan for about 2 seconds. One of the things that I read that I wanted to read to you, I'm just gonna read it straight from here because I was almost surprised when I first saw this in the book. The guy talks about giving it time. You know, you would think that the experts are saying, you know, run at 200 miles per hour. He even talks about in the book that sometimes it's best not to be a racehorse, but to be a pack horse. You know, to go to sledding, you know, to load yourself up with all your knowledge and everything and go at just this constant, you know, pace. But anyway, he said, compare it to home repair. Estimate your time, your energy, and your money, and then you realize that you probably underestimated it. The task for the return on your investment requires patience. Settle in, take the long road, enjoy the view. Stay on task, be consistent, and let it build. Be patient. It takes time to start a new rep and get them to leadership. It also takes time to understand the steps and the business to grow and to trust yourself. Perform every day the tasks that work. And then I wrote, because I've found this to be true. There are 2% of the people that I've met in this that take off at the 200 miles per hour. And they usually don't last as well as the people who are going 25 miles per hour, right? They get a couple of no's and it shuts them down, or they lose energy. Not everybody thrives on 200 miles per hour. When I say give it enough time, I don't mean wait patiently and do nothing. I mean patiently water and feed the plant. Success isn't how long you've been in the industry, it's what you do daily and weekly to grow. Like a pilot, and Christopher told me this exact same thing in this, but it's not how many years you've had your license, it's more about the number of hours in the plane. If you are not logging and steadily increasing amounts of flight hours, there's no point in being surprised that the business is not reaching a point of takeoff. Brian said that last night on the call. He said, you can't be shocked and surprised if you're not doing anything and you're not getting any results. And there, even as hard as we thought we worked in April, whatever month that was, and I was like, but we spoke every night, and I called people, and I didn't. I really didn't. I didn't sign anybody up. So, that's that. I'm leaving Fall Fest off for a reason, because my man is fired up about Fall Fest. I'm gonna let him close with Fall Fest. Okay, here's what we're doing. We're duplicating, and we're coaching our downline. Judy has a great presentation that we ought to just wait till after Fall Fest and let Judy do our next one, because she's got a great one that is, I think, a lot of great stuff. Coach your downline. Duplication is key. Duplication. If you don't duplicate and form a team, you limit yourself and your income, of course, and you slow down the power of the duplication. And this is where he talked about, if you sign up one person per month, train them to do the same thing, in 12 months you'll have 4,096 people on your team. Keep it simple. Follow the system. Do not recreate the wheel. Stay on track. Build depth by having children. You've heard Brian talk about children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I want to say on this that in the beginning, and I think it's really true with detailed people and just certain personalities, you come into this and you start trying to redo it. You start trying to find an easier way or a different way, and it's all right there. It's been done for us. Are there some things that are improving and being done better? Yes. I'm glad, some of you that are newer, the product wasn't in boxes in the beginning, when we came on, and just different things, and,
There's only one product.
yeah, and it's definitely getting better and better and better, right? But the way it's done, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You gotta talk about this product, share your story. If I do not talk about CBD, I will not sell any CBD. My client could sit in my chair and I could do the most beautiful color in the world, and if I don't say, hey, if you don't use good shampoo, this color that you're loving is gonna be gone in a couple of weeks, you've gotta get good shampoo, I won't sell shampoo. And then if they come back the next time and their hair's looking, the color's gone and it's dry and dry, then I'm gonna say, what shampoo are you using? So same thing with CBD. If I talk about CBD and I talk about their health and just ask a couple little questions, they're gonna give me something, and I'm gonna know which booster to go to, because once everybody is, I feel like I've definitely cycled through with my clients, and most of my clients are on CBD, I want them to experience the boosters as well, so you just have to have those conversations. So this is my path, and when I do this and I look at it, I see where I need to work, and I see what we do really well with. We love doing the opportunity meetings, and Christopher loves national meetings. You want to talk about Fall Fest?
I do.
I'll be quiet. I'm going to go make a copy for your talk. Can I say one more thing?
No.
Do you have Judy's list and mine that we kind of combined? Do you have this? I'm looking for these copies. It says Zilis step-by-step system for success. And then this is great. I stole this from Judy as well. It's all the calls. Oh, good. I stole it from you. That's what it's about, right? Duplication. I didn't steal, I duplicated. Okay.
You don't have it? Make copies of it?
I work on the internet, it has to be.
Okay, you talk.
Let her make copies of it. Real quick, and because I know it's running long, but I do want to share a little bit about Fall Fest. You know, we went to Indianapolis for Spring Fest and then followed up again in the summer for Summer Fest in Indianapolis. And this time it's in Dallas, Texas, not Indianapolis. So we really want to rock Texas. You know, we've got such a big team and we want to have such an incredible showing. You know, that's been in Indiana because that's really where it started, and they had great turnouts. Probably, what would you say that last one? 1,500,
Yeah.
2,000 probably, you know. But one of the things that I want to share that I get so much out of it, I'll let some others that were there talk about it. But one is there's going to be a new product, and that's always exciting. You want to get your hands on it because you're going to have, anybody that's there is going to get the opportunity to buy it, probably at a reduced price, and get to have it probably for a month before anybody else can get their hands on it. So you want a little kickstart to your team, that's one way to do it. I think the other thing is you're gonna hear from the doctors, from Stephen. He's incredible if you haven't ever heard him speak. You wanna understand the business and how this works and the detail behind it from the business side all the way through the products. You're gonna get it. And you're not gonna get it any detailed in any of these little side meetings than what you'll get there. You'll be taking notes, taking pictures, because it is incredible. You leave there with your heart on fire to go out and get after it. You know, Kim and I talked about this, I think, I don't know, one night on a Zoom call. You know, we love traveling, and there's planes that take off every day, whether you're on it or not. And we were committed that once Zilis took off, we were gonna buy our ticket, and we did. And I highly encourage, if you wanna grow your business, it's gotta start with being at a fall fest or one of the big